I'm Ted, and this is the Real Ted G podcast. Off on the back set, we have Luke and Matt. Here on the front set, we got Bing.
Hey guys, how's everyone going?
My trusty podcast producer. And so, welcome to the podcast. So, today's podcast, what was my topic? My topic?
Advice from all different people.
And this topic was brought on by a podcast we just taped 2 days ago, where you were discussing a mutual friend of ours, someone you know a lot longer than I do. He's also a newer agent with our company. And I think you were discussing maybe advice, and maybe he's in a little bit of a slump or something or another. And then I was watching my podcast, which is something that, New Year's resolution, watch my podcast for a change. So I was watching my podcast. Main reason I was watching my podcast was because I put out 2 invitations, and suddenly it occurred to me that they asked me for the link, and I said, "Oh, I better see what the link looks like, or let me see what the podcast that this agent who I want to bring on the podcast is going to be like, or is going to see." So I actually watched that podcast, and then I realized, and the interesting thing to me was, I realized that you were talking about this mutual friend of ours, and it's not your fault, and I'm not trying to make the bad person. You said that, you're giving him advice. And then I thought about it. I was like, of course, people always give people advice. It's just that the agent, he really, I think, should have needed advice from someone that might have been in real estate sales. Real estate is very different than other sales fields, and I think every sales field has its own specificality. And I thought about it. I was like, wait a minute. You're right. Everyone does this. I have agents who come in here and say, well, my mom said, because they are that young. So, hey, and I thought about that. And I thought about back to another topic, what differentiates me from other agents. I do have another genetic, it's not a genetic defect. Some people just know who to listen to and when to listen. Who and when. So that makes a big difference. It was just an interesting topic about getting advice from all different people. I've had agents come back to me after prospecting, oddly enough. This is a little bit of an old story. This is about a 6-year-old story. New agent, again, new in the business, goes out there, prospects, knocks on doors, talks to people. Says, I ran into a real estate agent. Well, he doesn't do much real estate. He really never did. But he said I should get involved in network. And I said, well, that's really awesome. I'm so glad he gave you advice. But you took advice from someone who was unsuccessful. So anyway, that's where the advice from all different people comes in. So that's a pet peeve.
It can help in some ways, but in other ways, it's like some people don't know the full situation either.
Yeah, it's a lot like going online and diagnosing yourself. I have this headache. I have a headache and a little bit of an earache, and suddenly it tells you have 5 months to live. So little things, little things.
So when you hear agents bring this advice to you, what do you do to?
I hit them. No, I obviously don't. No.
Your 2 agents in the background, their faces say other. No, I'm just kidding.
I hit them with a look. That's what I do. And I think.
But then what do you say?
I usually say something like what I just said, where, oh my goodness, that's so nice. I'm so glad you heard advice from someone who did not have a successful career.
Oh, okay.
Yeah. So it's very important. That's one of the reasons I'm sitting here.
But what if they're successful at their respective field? Like, say it's a similar sales field, or they own a business, or they're just
absolutely take advice from. I take advice from people in the creative sector. I'm working on a couple of media campaigns right now, and I'm taking advice from someone who made who's making a very nice living, and in the creative sector, whether it's marketing, along those lines.
Cool.
I don't take advice from certain people about working out. I also don't give that advice. Someone could tell me, "Oh, Ted, maybe I've slimmed down a little bit," and they, I'm not saying people don't say I look good. But, but even if someone asks, what do you do, Ted? I would be the last person to say you should do this. I do exactly what you're not supposed to do. I out-train my diet. I literally go to the gym and kill myself because I like and I enjoy eating. And I have not been able to do anything along the lines of meal prep. even though I really should. So the real advice about what you should do is you should exercise in moderation. You should exercise regularly, and of course, curtail your diet. Diet and exercise. Not a starvation diet or anything. So, well, anyway, so anyway, Bing, what's new with you? It's been 24 hours.
Has it been 24 hours?
Yeah.
What's new with me? I'm less tired, and I feel a lot better, so I'm not as sick anymore, which is cool. Nothing really new, honestly.
Okay.
Same old stuff. I mean, what did I do yesterday? I edited your show yesterday, and
Okay.
I'm glad you brought this like handy dandy list of ideas.
I've got
Because usually I'm the one that's got to come with the ideas. I like this, and so just back on topic, advice from all different people. Is there a piece of advice that you got from someone outside of the industry that helped you become a better agent?
Oh, I've gotten a great piece of advice. In fact, we're gonna make those the shorts today.
Okay.
Okay, so I'll go through it here.
Go through it here, yeah.
All right, here's great advice. Fuck it, you've got a place to live.
What?
Sometimes you get into your own head and you start thinking, the buyer didn't go up to get the house. The buyer didn't do this. Oh no, my seller is doing this. And at the end of the day, maybe you should bring it in and just say, you know what? I've got a place to live. And the decisions people make are the decisions they're supposed to make.
You're only there to just help facilitate their needs.
Yep,
Okay.
And of course, back to Pretty Woman, don't make it personal. No kissing on the lips. And that's where that piece of advice comes in. Yeah, fuck it. I got a place to live.
So what industry was that person in?
They actually were in finance management with cars, and
Nice.
then they decided to do real estate. So there's some piece of advice that can go a long way. Let's see, what else have I heard? I was told early on, this is the only business, I believe I was told this very early on, only business that you can do everything right and still not get paid.
I remember you saying that a few episodes ago. That's true. So what's an example of that? Do you have any stories of situation you were in or an agent was in where they did everything right and they didn't get paid? Like, how often does that happen?
Well, let's see. No, I can't use that as an example. It's still in play. I'll use examples of... so let's pretend that you put together a buyer. You bring them to a great house. The seller, the buyer, they agree on price and terms. Everything is great. You even go through a lot of hurdles. You go through an appraisal short. You go through... This is not a true story because, knock on wood, I have a very interesting knack for keeping deals together. Well, let's pretend everyone's ready to close. Closing day. Closing day occurs... Oh, I'll give you a real story. I'll give you a real story. That nothing to do with that previous thing, so I just wasted about 22 seconds of video. So, the true story. You go to a closing table. Everything's in place. The house burns down at the closing.
What? This is a real story. The house burns down at the closing. So
Now.
What?
If it had burned down before the closing docs were done, then the homeowner's insurance that would have been responsible would have been the owners. By the way, fire, damage, and death void our listing agreements as well. But luckily it had burnt down right after the closing docs had all taken place, and then the buyer. Luckily, obviously, everyone gets insurance before they close in New York State.
Wow.
Anyway, that. Now, let's take the story a little bit different. Not the same story. A different story.
Wait, no. Hold on. How did the house burn down?
Probably with fire.
No, but like, wait. So you're in the kitchen and you're signing the documents, and the house is on fire.
Kitchen. The house burns down. The house is its location. Closing takes place usually in an office of a bank or an office of lawyers.
So the morning of, everything's fine.
And then
you go to the bank.
Afternoon, the bank. It wasn't my. This is not my story. I'm repeating a story. No, you're at the closing. A house can burn down, and then depending on when the closing is occurring and when the fire starts, is whose insurance would take place.
I would have been so pissed.
Yeah. Well, the insurance of the seller was to take effect. Then the seller actually couldn't have conveyed title. So, well, anyway.
Wow. Okay.
Here's another story.
Okay.
I'll give you another story. Yeah. So we our two off-camera guests are actually one is an existing agent, but one is actually very new to the field. But we'll discuss his presence here on
on another podcast when
Yeah,
they're all mic'd
the
up
one called
properly.
Scaling. So.
Scaling. So what was your story?
So let's pretend everything is in place, clear to close. Everybody's scheduled to close Tuesday, October. I don't know. Give me a Tuesday, October 22nd. Wait,
Okay.
Tuesday, October 23rd. Luckily, I have no scheduled closings for that day, so I'm not jinxing it. Tuesday, October 23rd.
Okay.
And the buyer gets hit by a bus. Both agents did everything right.
Wait, that's a real story. A buyer got hit by a bus.
It's not a real story firsthand. But
Wow.
it can happen. And that's
Wow.
it.
Those are really extreme, like,
Correct.
scenario. Like, what's like a more like middle of the road type of?
Everybody's on track to close. Everything is going good, and the buyer buys a boat.
Okay.
Changes their credit score, changes their debt load. They disqualify themselves from buying the house.
Wow.
Now the mortgage company has to decline their mortgage, and that's it. Deal is void.
Wow.
Neither agent makes a check that afternoon.
Wow.
Yeah, so there are other factors. There are so many other factors that can affect us. Back to why you should, my word, I don't know if it's the correct word, diversify. You shouldn't have one transaction. You should have several. You shouldn't have one listing. You should have several. And in fact, you should have them in all different price points. Because sometimes higher price points are very busy, and sometimes nice moderate price points are our bread and butter. So diversify. It's not just for stocks.
Well, it's good to bulk up. Going back to the bulking thing, it's good to bulk up on those small and moderate listings
And you know
because
how I feel about bulking season.
you love it.
I love it. I love bulking season.
Well, if you think about it, it's almost like you're packing for a winter trip, right? You're not going to
Well, not
pack
only the king of Long Island real estate, but I'm also the sweater king.
the sweater. I mean, it is a pretty fire fit. I'm not going to lie. That is a fire fit.
Yeah, you should see some of my sweaters.
We should have a Ted G fashion show one of these
but-
weeks.
Oh, you know what? I can give advice
On
what
fashion?
someone should wear. Not so much. I mean, not like high fashion. I shouldn't be telling Taylor Swift what to wear.
Huh.
But yeah. Oh, well, I've told other agents what to wear. I told someone off camera what to wear. I've told some agents actually requested my advice. Some agents used to text me a picture of, does this tie look good with this suit?
I remember one of the agents was getting her headshots done and they're for business cards and stuff, and you were like, no, you need to wear black with blue. It'll work great.
Yes, because again, same way I can put together a nice office. I can't.
Yes.
I'm not an interior decorator, but when it comes
should
to an
be.
office, nope, I shouldn't be. Wouldn't know how to put together a house. I can't decide on paint colors, but in an office I can decide on paint colors. Same way, because I know what a business card ultimately, what the goal for a business card is, and it's a simple thing, and that's why I can say to someone, no, wear that jacket, or yes, definitely wear that jacket, or no, don't wear that jacket. That's what I meant. So there are certain fields, certain areas that I'm going to be good. Are you getting any views?
Yeah, you
Well-
actually made over $1 already.
Wait, I get paid for this? Oh, so one of my off-camera agents is actually we're live on his Instagram because
Right.
he has way more followers than I do. TikTok,
TikTok, great.
He has many more followers than I do. Yeah, so and I guess it's not that, and like I said, it wasn't anything. I'm not talking bad because people want to always help, but a lot of times people you have to. It's not us that have to be responsible who volunteer advice. When we're listening to advice, just think about it. Say, okay, wait, let me see. Wait, does this person have an authority to speak? And now I'm going to be political without being political.
Okay.
We said, because Bing, you keep trying to push me to talk about current events.
I just said
don't
I
watch the
wish we
news.
could. I just said I wish we could. I take no responsibility for
The
that.
problem with talking about current events is sometimes you can't talk about them with a smile. And rule number one in real estate, everything done should be done with a smile. Even if you are shoveling snow for your cellar, then you could be complaining about it, but you should still do it with a smile. So, political without being political, it's called being diplomatic. And one of the reasons is I could never consider myself an authority on current events. I choose not to watch the news. So you're actually my only feed into the outside world, that you come in and you talk about without without making an opinion.
Two countries are at war right now, and one of
So
them
two countries.
threatened to do something very, very big across the world.
See, if I do,
Yeah.
if I can't say that stuff with a smile, it's just not right. So anyway, back to current events. But I would be the last authority. Someone should not watch my podcast to think about what I feel about the two countries.
One begins with an I, and the other begins with a P.
Israel and Palestine.
Yeah. I didn't know how specific you want me to be.
Okay. So anyway, but like in history, I've heard about these two countries. So okay. So anyway, I have no idea. So me saying something is doing a disservice. I'm curtailing my opinion. So anyway, that's how I feel about opinions. And opinions are
What?
like assholes. Everyone has one. There's actually a second part to that phrase. I don't know. I'll think of it. But yes, so there we go. See, that's me being political.
Opinions are like assholes. Everyone has one. I love it. All right, Ted, where can the folks find us?
These days, probably going to find us in the gutter. No, they can find me on TikTok, Facebook, Instagram,
YouTube.
Spotify.
YouTube and
YouTube.
Spotify.
I'm the Real Ted G, and this is the Real Ted G podcast.